Hello everyone, welcome back to Elite Link Online. I hope that the lockdown is treating you really well and that you guys are maintaining a perfect balance between your health, rest and studies. On that note, I am here to do a poem by Sarojini Naidu titled In the Bazaars of Hyderabad. So now ये title पढ़ के आपको क्या लगता है? That this poem is probably about some markets, कोई बाजार है, right, which is situated in Hyderabad. Absolutely yes. So this picture that you have up there on your screens, this picture is of the Charminar, which is one of the most important tourist sites in Hyderabad. And the bazaars are usually set around it or in the same, near it. So this is important. Baki, iska Charminar ka mention is not there in the poem, but we are going to see what all the poem is going to talk about. So let's begin. Alright, so before I delve into the poem, a little bit about the background of the poem and the author. So now the poetess is Sarojini Naidu. She was a major political figure in the Indian freedom movement in the first half of the 20th century. She was very prominent, very active. ये एक activist भी थी, nationalist थी, and she was also a great writer. She was the president of the Indian National Congress and the first woman governor in India. So now we see that this is a woman of great renown and respect. The poem was written as a part of the Swadeshi movement. एक स्वदेशी movement थी. I'm sure आप लोगों ने उसके बारे में history में पढ़ा होगा. So this movement was basically to promote the products or the goods of India itself. So there was this huge decision taken that now the Indians are not going to use anything which is not Indian brand. Okay, so there was a complete cut-off of all the foreign products, and this was a part of this nationalist freedom struggle where there was this retaliation against the Western rule, the British rule. During that freedom movement, the Indians decided to boycott European merchandise and use the Indian products instead. Through the poem In the Bazaars of Hyderabad, Sarojini wanted to convey the message that India is rich in tradition and they don't need the foreign products. Hence, she gives a picture of a bazaar where traditional Indian products are ruling the market and appeals to everyone equally. So in this poem, basically, just to give an idea to her audience, Sarojini Naidu had a lot of foreign readers. So these poems written by her and all her work basically is to give an insight about Indian culture and social life to the foreign readers. People are going to know, those people who are not living in India, they are abroad, the Western audience, उन लोगों को इंडिया के glimpses देने का एक attempt था to introduce them to true India, its true essence. So this is what she did, and in this poem she paints a very beautiful and vivid picture of any bazaar of Hyderabad and by implication any bazaar in India, right? Okay. The poem is in the form of questions and answers. So it's a conversational format where one question is asked and the answer is given. The poet asks the questions and the merchants answer them. Through this technique, she makes the picture of bazaars visible to us. So, these question and answer, हम लोगों को पूरा बाजार का description मिल रहा है, वहाँ पे क्या क्या merchandise बिक रहा है, उसका description मिल रहा है, and what are the people involved with the everyday activities and the rituals and the festivities, what all goes into it, ये सब कुछ इस poem में आपको मिलेगा. The poem contains 5 stanzas of 6 lines each. It follows a unique rhyme scheme where the 2nd, 4th and 6th lines in each stanza are rhyming. The 3rd and the 5th lines are also rhyming. They are rhyming with each other. The last stanza is a slight exception though. So the general rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B, C, B. But आपको rhyme scheme फिर भी अपने आप like last stanza is an exception to this. So आप एक general rhyme scheme इसका याद रख सकते हो. But every time if they ask you a question on rhyme scheme, then you will have to determine it yourself. जो भी आपको stanza दिया होगा exam में. Clear? Alright. Now coming to the style and tone of the poem. किस style में लिखी गई है और tone कैसी है? The poem details social life in the city of Hyderabad, which is in India, where Naidu was born. The lines are structured as conversation between vendors and their prospective buyers in a bazaar or marketplace. कौन लोग उनका जो उनके कस्टमर्स हैं और वेंडर्स, उन दोनों के बीच के जो कॉन्वर्सेशंस हैं वो हैं इस पोएम में. These lines are often in the form of questions, like already established. There is at least one question in each stanza, and the first line is a refrain of one particular question. So first line is a refrain. Refrain क्या होता है? Refrain is a figure of speech where one line is repeated in every stanza. So in this context, one question, one type of question is repeated in every stanza. Every stanza begins with the same question. While the objects and vendors change, the question does not change. Each stanza begins with the speaker asking the merchant what they sell. It is this back and forth conversation that gives the poem a musical quality. The relatively straightforward questioning as well as the vibrant images make it seem as though the reader is active within the marketplace itself. हम लोगों को खुद ऐसा लगता है that we are standing in a marketplace. वो इतने vivid description है, इतना detail में description है, that we feel that we are in a marketplace. We can imagine a marketplace. So that way, the poetess has used beautiful imagery in the poem because she has created images for us to relate to or imagine. Okay. One is able to imagine the lives of those who are buying and selling and project onto the poem possible reasons for their sales and purchases. क्यों खरीद रहे हैं, क्यों बेच रहे हैं, ये सब कुछ भी हमें वहाँ पे पता चलता है. किसी के घर में कोई फेस्टिवल है, उसके लिए चीजें खरीद जा रही है, किसी के घर में कोई रिलीजियस पूजा है तो उसके लिए चीजें ली जा रही हैं, या किसी के घर में somebody has passed away, somebody has died, so वो सेरेमनीज के लिए, रिचुअल्स के लिए चीजें खरीदी जा रही हैं. So we get a picture of the entire social life of India, all the practices that are conducted on everyday basis. This is what we get here in this poem. So continuing with the style and tone, the poetess utilizes the human senses in order to make a scene more believable. She will talk about the smell of the spices, she will talk about the sounds of the instruments being sold. So इतनी सारी उन्होंने मतलब her words basically appeal to our senses in order to make us really imagine a marketplace. समझे? This is seen through the depiction of a variety of colors such as silver and azure. One's auditory sense is stimulated by the music playing in the background and the words of the vendors and customers. While the description of stalls may vary, they have been crafted in order to make one see the value in their existence. Sentences जो चीजें हैं वो they might differ, अलग-अलग चीजें हैं, but जो products बेचे जा रहे हैं वो अलग-अलग हैं, but the description of them is such that every product seems valuable. किसी ना किसी को कोई ना कोई चीज बहुत जरूरी चाहिए ही. So the value of these things in everyday human life of India वो यहाँ पर दिखाया है. This is emphasized through the moments in which food such as lemons, lentils and rice are mentioned. So we will see these things happening in detail once we go line by line in the poem. Now coming to the themes. So first theme of the poem is obviously Western culture and Indian context. Western culture कैसा है उसको समझाया, उन लोगों को समझाया जा रहा है Indian context कि इंडिया की situation कैसी है. India is not just an uncivilized, not advanced country, barbaric, ऐसा जैसा कि colonizers ने project किया था, right? Colonizers kind of believed that they need to colonize these nations in order to develop them, in order to train them in civility and mannerism and everything. So वो जो एक projection था, वो colonizations के time पे ये हुआ. Colonizers did this because they had their selfish interests. They wanted to rule these nations. But actually it was a lie being spread that they are doing something good to us. The truth was that they are basically depriving these nations of freedom as well as they are destroying their culture. So Sarojini Naidu through her poems gives these Westerners a sense of Indian culture. The things that Naidu describes, the vendors selling in the bazaar, are all very Indian, such as the turbans that are worn by the Sikhs or the saffron that is only produced in few areas of the world, including India. However, most of these words that she uses are anglicized. They are the English versions. For example, she spells sitar as C-I-T-H-A-R, how the Westerners would understand it. So this is the anglicized version. This is because she is writing for the Western audience. As we know, most of her poetry collections were published from London, and only a small proportion of Indian population could read or write English at that time. She paints a beautiful and colorful picture of an Indian market, highlighting the diverse cultural practices. For English audiences, it evoked a picture of exotic land of India that they never got to know intimately, while for Indian audiences, it described a place they knew and loved, and a place which they knew no one would ever take away from them. So the relevance of this poem for the Western audience is that कोई ऐसी जगह को डिस्क्राइब किया जा रहा है. It's an exotic land of colors, festivities and languages and food. So एक exotic land है जिसको कि वो कभी भी intimately नहीं जान पाए. That means they never could understand this place closely. Because वो लोग तो सब वेस्ट में रहते हैं ना, तो वो नहीं किसको क्लोजली एक्सपीरियंस कर पा रहे हैं. एंड फॉर द इंडियन ऑडियंस दिस वाज अगेन a re-emphasis that this is our country, we are rich in culture and social life, we are rich in customs and languages, our unity is the best thing, and this is one thing, this is one sense that cannot be taken away from us. So both the levels, it catered to the Western audience as well as to the Indian audience equally, but दोनों का जो purpose था वो अलग अलग है. Second theme is combination of joy and sorrow. A bazaar is a place one goes to on occasions of joy as well as those of sorrow. A marriage calls for a trip there to pick up crowns and garlands for the groom and the bride. However, a funeral also requires a trip there so that you can obtain the white sheet of flowers that is placed over the deceased person in his final hours before cremation. Right? अगर शादी है तो आप ब्राइड और ग्रूम के लिए गार्लैंड्स और मुकुट और ऑर्नामेंट्स ये सब लेने जाओगे. अगर किसी की डेथ हो गई है, कोई फ्यूनरल है घर पे, तो आप व्हाइट शीट ऑफ फ्लावर्स जो कि आप डिसीज्ड पर्सन, डिसीज्ड मींस डेड पर्सन के फाइनल आवर्स में वो राइट्स पूरे करने के टाइम पे आप वो वहां पे प्लेस करोगे. देन द थर्ड इम्पोर्टेंट थीम ऑफ दिस पोएम इज द स्वदेशी मूवमेंट. All the wares, that means goods, wares means goods, all the wares that are sold in the bazaar can only be found in India. The English have not been able to lay their hands on these articles. Okay, there are few things that are very Indian specific. Hence, by purchasing their daily necessities from the bazaar, the Indian population were helping their community become self-sufficient. यही तो baseline है हमारे स्वदेशी मूवमेंट का कि India becomes self-sufficient. जैसे आज की डेट में भी बिकॉज मोदी जी ने बोला है कि अपने वी हैव टू बी आत्मनिर्भर, वी हैव टू बी सेल्फ सफिशिएंट, सो वी नीड टू बाय ओनली इंडियन प्रोडक्ट्स. दिस इज स्टिल बीइंग, सो दिस इज द मॉडर्न डे स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, आई वुड से, राइट. Even though the name is not explicitly mentioned by Naidu, the bazaar is thus upheld as a space in which the Swadeshi movement is most successful. कोई specific बाजार का नाम नहीं दिया है सरोजनी नायडू ने. This means that these bazaars basically stand for all the bazaars in India, where Indian merchants sell goods to Indian buyers without the English or anyone else functioning as middleman. Alright, so the entire picture of the British rule has been eliminated from here. This is India which is pure or free of the British rule. ये ऐसा सीन उन्होंने यहाँ पे क्रिएट किया है, and also showing that India was and still is pretty much self-sufficient. अपना काम खुद कर सकते हैं. We do not need any foreign influence or foreign aid here. So I hope ये जो 3 themes हैं ये आपको बहुत अच्छे से क्लियर हो गई हैं. We will go into the details line by line, but जब वो lines में instances आएंगे poems में, then you have to connect them to these themes. So please keep them in your mind अच्छे से. Okay, let's move ahead. Next we have the tone again, but a little different from what we have discussed already. The predominant tone in this poem is one of awe and wonder. as if the poetess cannot believe that the great variety of items that are sold in the bazaar. So earlier जब हमने tone discuss किया था, we spoke about the conversational format and कैसे कौन सी line repeat हो रही है, या I mean things related to that. But now we are here now specifically talking about the tone, जहाँ पर कि हमें पता चल रहा है that the poetess is like, wow, these are the things that are being sold here, right? So awe and wonder का यहाँ पर एक sense आता है हमको, और ये अगर question पूछा जाए that what is the tone of the poem, then you are actually going to write this, that you know there is a sense of awe and wonder and happiness कि we sell, we are so self-sufficient and we have everything here handy that we need, right? Okay, because she was writing for a foreign audience, perhaps this poem was meant to give them a grand view of India, to make them believe that India was not just a colony of the almighty England, but a country with a culture that is very distinctive. So she is trying to give here, an idea of the self-sufficiency of India, the richness and the diversity of India. So एक ऐसा culture है जो कि very distinctive है, very unique है, अलग है सबसे, and also very strong and rich. Naidu could have had another purpose in writing this poem as well. Perhaps she wanted her fellow Indians to love their country as much as she did, and so gave them a view of how beautiful even such a mundane place as the local market could be. Now, सरोजिनी नायडू का दूसरा एजेंडा क्या हो सकता है, दूसरा पर्सपेक्टिव क्या हो सकता है टू डिस्क्राइब दिस बाजार सो ब्यूटिफुली, दैट अपने कंट्री को जितना वो खुद प्यार करती थी उतना ही शी वांट्स एवरीवन एल्स टू फील द सेम लव एंड प्राइड फॉर द कंट्री. सो एक बहुत ही मंडेन प्लेस है, मंडेन इज वेरी रेगुलर एवरीडे प्लेस, राइट? उस जगह को भी उन्होंने इतना ज्यादा ब्यूटिफुली एक्सप्लेन किया है दैट एवरी इंडियन इज फिल्ड विद प्राइड एंड जॉय, दैट we are so self-sufficient and we are so nice, strong, right? Okay, now coming to stanza 1. अब हम लोग line by line करेंगे इसको. So stanza 1 says, what do you sell, oh ye merchant? So now here we have the question, like I have told you earlier that every stanza is going to begin with a question. So यहाँ पर ये means you. So what do you sell, oh you merchants? She's asking the merchants कि क्या बेच रहे हो, what are you selling? So and now the merchants are going to explain, describe everything that they are selling. Richly your wares are displayed. This is also said by the speaker, the poetess herself, that जो तुम्हारे जो ये displays, तुम्हारे जो wares हैं, wares means the products. Your products are richly displayed. They are nicely put forth. टर्बन्स, और ये प्रोडक्ट्स में क्या क्या है, टर्बन्स ऑफ क्रिम्सन एंड सिल्वर. टर्बन इज पगड़ी, worn by Sikhs, right? Sikh community wears the turbans, the male part of the Sikh community. So वहाँ पे turbans बिक रही हैं, पगड़ियाँ बिक रही हैं of crimson and silver color. Tunics of purple brocade. Tunics are the loose kurtas, right? वो बिक रहे हैं which are of purple and which are of purple brocade. Mirrors with panels of amber. So mirrors बिक रहे हैं वहाँ पे जिनको की beautiful panels हैं, उनके frames हैं which are of amber. Amber is the stone which is very nice and slightly expensive, not very expensive, but ये इस तरीके के mirrors भी बिक रहे हैं वहाँ पे. Then daggers with handles of jade, and then there are daggers, short knives, small knives, छोटे छोटे जो होते हैं, they are daggers, right? So daggers with handles of jade. Jade again is one kind of material used to make the handles. You can see them here in the picture. ये सारे daggers of handle with jade है, ये जो मैंने the pictures that I have used here. So what do we see here? We see the colorful life, the colorful things, right? एंड वी सी द यूटिलिटी कि अगर हम एम्बर यूज कर रहे हैं तो हम उसको किस किस जगहों पे यूज कर सकते हैं. द स्टोन एम्बर, वी कैन यूज इट फॉर डेकोरेशन, वी कैन यूज इट फॉर मेकिंग मिरर पैनल्स, एंड देन वी हैव द ट्यूनिक्स, लाइक वी गेट एन आइडिया दैट पीपल वेयर ट्यूनिक्स हियर, right? And people wear turbans here, and they are of different colors, and they are made very nicely with efforts. So now the explanation of this stanza. The poem begins with the speaker's question to the merchants about what they are selling. She sees that the goods are displayed nicely to attract the customers. The merchants reply that they are selling crimson, which is deep red, and silver-colored turbans, purple brocade tunics, mirrors with amber frames, and daggers with handles made of jade. Jade is a green color kind of a stone, so uske handles bante hain, so they are selling daggers made of that. These lines show that India not only has a diverse population, but also its citizens have fine, colorful, and creative taste in goods used every day. Kafi, we are very creative and colorful. So in this first stanza only we see the creativity of people. कि मिरर्स भी बना रहे तो एकदम कॉमन मिरर नहीं है कि सिर्फ मिरर बनाया और सिंपल फ्रेम डाल दिया, उस पे वी आर यूजिंग एम्बर का स्टोन टू मेक द पैनल्स फॉर दैट. सो दीज शो द क्रिएटिविटी एंड द टेस्ट ऑफ इंडियन population. From the first stanza, it is clear that the poet feels, is not there, isko hata dena, it has come there by mistake. The poet feels proud of the world she is describing as she glorifies each stall and its wares. बहुत glorify कर रही है उनको, बहुत beautifully describe कर रही है. These goods are not only colorful and appealing but also valuable to the consumers. So yes, not only they are just attractive to look at, but they are also used on everyday basis, and they are very important for the people who are going to buy them. Then now we have the figures of speech in every poem, and इस poem में भी जहाँ जहाँ पे आता जाएगा figure of speech, I will keep explaining. सबसे पहला figure of speech जो poem में use हुआ है, that is called apostrophe. Now ये क्या है? It is used when a poet addresses his or her poem to an absent audience. अब सच्ची में तो audience है नहीं, मतलब audience है, but then they are absent. She's just writing the poem. In this poem, the poet uses the device as an apostrophe in every single stanza when she directly addresses all the vendors of the bazaar who are not visible to the readers and whose answers are also not heard by them. हम लोगों को तो नहीं पता ना कि बाजार में वो वेंडर्स कहाँ पे बैठे क्या है, बिकॉज वी आर सिटिंग यहाँ पे बैठे हुए, मैं अपने घर में बैठी हूँ, आप अपने घर में बैठे हो, वी आर स्टडिंग दिस पोम. सो फॉर अस दीज स्पीकर्स, दीज पीपल आर एब्सेंट. सो व्हेन वी आर एड्रेसिंग somebody who is absent, that means somebody who is not there at the moment to answer the question, तब apostrophe होता है, right? And for example, like if I say या खुदा या हे भगवान ऐसा क्यों किया, कोरोना वायरस क्यों फैलाया, राइट? अब भगवान तो आके मुझे आंसर नहीं देने वाले ना कि मैंने इसलिए फैलाया ताकि पीपल कैन लर्न सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग और पीपल कैन लर्न टू टेक केयर ऑफ देयर हेल्थ. आई मीन ही इज नॉट कमिंग हियर, गॉड ही और शी इज नॉट कमिंग हियर टू आंसर मी. सो राइट नाउ व्हेन आई एम आस्किंग दिस क्वेश्चन, ये कि क्यों हुआ ये सब कुछ हमारे साथ, तब दिस इज एन apostrophe. I am talking to somebody who is absent, who is not going to come and give a reply to me. समझे? Okay. Second stanza. What do you weigh, oh ye vendors? So now she's talking to the vendors कि क्या वे कर रहे हो आप लोग, ये मसाले वगैरह बेच रहे हैं वो यहाँ पे, तो इसलिए क्या रोज रोज ये वे करते हो तुम तुम्हारे weighing machines पे. So what is it? And then the reply, saffron and lentil and rice. So saffron, that thing that we use for red coloring, orange coloring, or we use a lot of saffron in biryanis. So they are selling that. Then they have lentils, which is dal, pulses, right? And rice. What do you grind, oh ye maidens? And now the question goes to the maidens. So पहले हुआ merchants, then vendors, and now maidens. Maidens क्या बेच रहे हैं? Sandalwood, henna, and spice. Maidens are unmarried girls, right? So there are young girls who are selling sandalwood, henna, and spices. Sandalwood is a kind of wood. There is a tree जिसका wood use होता है. We use that for it has a very good fragrance. I'm sure आप लोगों ने देखा होगा, right? And then henna is obviously mehendi, and spices are different kinds of mirchis and masalas that are being prepared in India, that are prepared in India and sold in India ज़्यादा. Okay. What do you call, oh ye peddlers? And now she talks to the peddlers. What do you call? मतलब आवाज किस चीज के लिए लगा रहे हो अपने कस्टमर्स को, ये ले लो वो ले लो, जैसे वेंडर्स आवाज लगाते हैं, तो तुम पेडलर्स तुम किस चीज के लिए आवाज लगा रहे हो? पेडलर्स आर द पीपल हु वुड सिट एट द कॉर्नर ऑफ द स्ट्रीट्स, नीचे बैठते हैं वो. ओके, दे डोंट हैव अ स्टॉल और अ शॉप kind of thing. Okay, so वो उनसे पूछ रही है कि अब तुम किस चीज के लिए आवाजें लगा रहे हो? What are you calling for? You know, this call for the customers, what are you selling? So they say chessmen and ivory and dice. So these peddlers, they are sitting there and they are selling this chessmen and ivory dice. So chessmen वही जो pawns होते हैं, chess board and all the players. So chessmen जो pawns and king and queen सारे chess के जो parts होते हैं, I'm sure आप लोगों ने chess भी खेला है, so you know कि क्या क्या होता है chess के parts. Then ivory dice. Now dice which is made of ivory. They are selling the chessboard, the chess men, the pawns and the kings and the queens and everything, and they are also selling the dice. Now dice which is made of ivory. What is ivory? Ivory is the products used to the products made by the elephant tusk. Elephant tusk जिसमें यूज होता है, जो हाथी के बार वाले दांत होते हैं ना, those big ones, उसको यूज करते हैं. दो I mean products made by the tusk of the elephant are called ivory things, right? Ivory products. So that is ivory. Okay, now this is illegal. बहुत ज़्यादा ये होने लग गया था इंडिया में भी, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल वर किलिंग एलिफेंट्स टू फॉर द आइवरी, एंड ये बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसिव है प्रोडक्ट्स इसके, एंड ये बहुत ज़्यादा बाहर भी भेजे जाते हैं, एक्सपोर्ट भी होते हैं. सो नाउ आइवरी का जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, आई मीन किलिंग द एलिफेंट्स फॉर द आइवरी इज नाउ अ क्राइम, अ पनिशेबल क्राइम. बट उस टाइम पे ये सब चीज़ें वहाँ पे अवेलेबल थी. सो नाउ अगेन सी द क्रिएटिविटी हियर एंड द वेराइटी ऑफ फूड दैट वी हैव, राइट, एंड द वेराइटी ऑफ फ्रेग्रेंसेस दैट वी हैव. इस स्टैंजा में हमें ये सारी चीज़ें मिल रही हैं यहाँ पे, क्रिएटिविटी भी एंड वेराइटी भी. क्लियर? नाउ एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ दिस स्टैंजा. द पोएट देन विजिट्स द वेंडर्स, द मेडन्स एंड द पेडलर्स, द सेल्समैन. She asks the vendors why they are weighing for what they are weighing for scales. अपने scales पे वो क्या weigh कर रहे हैं. The vendors reply that they are weighing saffron, lentil and rice. The poet then asks the maiden girls what they are grinding, and they say that they are grinding sandalwood, henna and spices. वो पीस रही हैं ये सब चीज़ों को. And now the peddlers are asked what they are selling as their trade cry. Trade cry जो आवाज जोर जोर से लगा के वो किसको क्या बेचने के लिए आवाजें लगा रही थी जोर जोर से. So that is the trade cry. They say that they are selling chessmen, so pieces of chess, king, queen, pawns in the chess game, and dice made from ivory for the game of chess. These lines show us the diversity and richness of India. Indian food, Indian games and everyday activities, right? कितनी diversity है यहाँ पे. Furthermore, it tells us that chess is not only popular among the royal families but among the common masses as well. क्यों हमें ये तो पता ही है कि राजा लोग चेस का गेम खेला करते थे, राइट, बहुत पॉपुलर था उनके बीच में ये सब चीज़ें. बट दिस ऑल्सो शोज अस दैट कॉमन पीपल ऑल्सो इंजॉय दिस गेम. वो लोग भी ये गेम खेलते. इट इज़ नॉट जस्ट मेंट फॉर द रॉयल फैमिलीज. Dice is made of ivory shows the talent of the craftsmen and throws light upon the fine taste of people who use these goods. अब dice, ivory, I've told you it's an expensive thing. So पता चल रहा है कि लोगों का कितना fine taste है कि games में भी वो ivory के products use कर रहे हैं. Now one note here, ivory is made from the elephant tusk, and considering the brutality exercised against the elephants shown by some greedy people, use of ivory goods is highly discouraged these days. So just because it is expensive and it seems classy doesn't mean that we need to have the ivory goods. Better not to, because आपके हर ivory product के पीछे एक elephant को मारा गया होगा, which is not good, which is violence against the animals. Okay. So now we have stanza 3. What do you make, oh ye goldsmith? Now she is talking to the goldsmiths and asking कि आप लोग क्या बना रहे हो? Wristlets and anklets and rings. So it's something that you can wear on your wrist, bangle kind of thing. Wristlets, then अपने ankle पे जो पहनते हैं पायल या anklets and the rings. So the goldsmith obviously is going to deal with the products made of gold, right? So वो यहाँ पर expensive jewelry बना रहे हैं. Okay, bells for the feet of blue pigeons. And एक टाइम पे ऐसे था कि pigeons as pet रखे जाते थे, अभी भी कुछ लोग रखते हैं, but उस टाइम पे it was more recurrent. So वहाँ पे उनके feet के लिए bells बना रहे हैं. See, these are the bells. Very tiny, sleek, slender, small, so that the pigeons can wear them. उनको ज़्यादा heavy ना लगे. क्या कैसी हैं ये bells? Frail as a dragonfly's wing. These bells are frail, delicate, slender, delicate basically. So they are as frail, as delicate as the ड्रैगन फ्लाई का विंग्स. जो ड्रैगन फ्लाई का इंसेक्ट होता है उसके विंग्स देखो कितनी बारी ट्रांसपेरेंट होते हैं और बहुत सॉफ्ट होते हैं, पकड़ोगे तो टूट जाते हैं, राइट? इसीलिए ड्रैगन फ्लाई नहीं पकड़ना चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. So now these rings, these bells for the feet of the pigeons, they are very frail. They are as frail as the wings of a dragonfly. यहाँ पर एक figure of speech use हुई है because इन्होंने जो rings, जो bells हैं, उनको compare किया है with the wings of the dragonfly. जब भी लिटरेचर में कंपैरिजन बिटवीन टू थिंग्स होता है, इट इज आइदर सिमिली और मेटाफर. दो फिगर ऑफ स्पीच है, या तो सिमिली यूज हो रही होगी या मेटाफर यूज हो रहा होगा. और यहाँ पर सिमिली है बिकॉज whenever we make a comparison using as like it has been done here, or like, या like यूज करेंगे या as यूज करेंगे, then it is simile. And if these two are not used, then it is metaphor. So simile में the comparison is direct and metaphor में the comparison is indirect, hidden होता है. We will discuss more about this in the Zoom sessions if you have any doubt. अभी आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then what else are they selling? The griddles of gold for the dancers. Griddles are the waist पे जो बांधे जाते हैं, those are griddles. तो डांसर्स जो होते हैं वो अपने वेस्ट पे कई बारी ऐसे ऑर्नामेंट्स बांधते हैं. सो दे आर मेकिंग द ग्रिडल्स फॉर द डांसर्स एंड दीज ग्रिडल्स आर ऑफ गोल्ड, ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज ये गोल्ड स्मिथ बेच रहे हैं. देन स्कबार्ड्स ऑफ गोल्ड फॉर द किंग. स्कबार्ड्स अगेन आर द नाइव्स और the weapons used by the king, or these scabards are also made of gold. So scabards basically they are the covers of to keep their weapons in it. So sword के लिए जो covers होते हैं, those are scabards, and those scabards are made of gold. So I was thinking of the Hindi word mayan. तलवार को मयान में डालते हैं. Mayan is the cover. So the scabards basically is the cover for the swords. Okay, explanation. The poet now goes up to the goldsmiths and inquires about what they are making. They are making ornaments with unique designs, wristlets, anklet and rings, and bells to be tied to the feet of the blue pigeons. The poetess uses simile to describe the bells, which are as thin and lightweight as the wings of a dragonfly. They are also making golden griddles for the dancers and the golden sheaths for keeping the king's sword. Sheaths means covers. So king के swords को रखने के लिए covers बन रहे हैं. Scabards बोलते हैं या sheaths बोलते हैं. This stanza shows that the consumers of these products love dressing themselves elegantly. अब यहाँ से पता चल रहा है ना कि लोगों को elegantly dress करने का बहुत शौक है. कुछ लोगों को gold का शौक है, कुछ लोगों को silver का शौक है. And since the goldsmith is thriving and he is making so many things with different designs, that means he has good audience, good customers coming to him and buying things from him. This says a lot about the taste of our people. Okay. Furthermore, they extend the same love and care in taking care of their pets as well. जैसे खुद को सजा के रखते हैं, ornaments पहनते हैं, वैसे अपने pets के लिए भी ornaments लेते हैं. So this is very thoughtful. India is known to be the land of many brave, rich and famous kings and queens. Love for gold and scabards gives the reader an idea about the life of the royal families as well as the common masses. So हमें लाइफ ऑफ द रॉयल फैमिलीज के बारे में भी पता चल रहा है और कॉमन मासेस की भी क्या एवरीडे यूसेज है, जो उनके लाइक्स और डिसलाइक्स हैं, वो भी हमको यहाँ पे देखने को बहुत क्लियरली मिल रहे हैं. लेट्स मूव अहेड. स्टैंजा 4. व्हाट डू यू क्राई ओ ये फ्रूट मैन. नाउ शी इज टॉकिंग टू द फ्रूट सेलर्स कि भाई तुम किस चीज के लिए आवाजें लगा रहे हो, क्या बेच रहे हो. एंड द रिप्लाई कम्स citron, pomegranate and plum. So we all know what is pomegranate, anar, plums we all know. Citron is also a kind of citric fruit like mosami, orange. So that kind of fruit they are selling. So they have a variety of fruits. What do you play? Oh, ye musicians. And now she's talking to the musicians कि क्या बजा रहे हो, क्या play कर रहे हो. And यहाँ पर we see sitar, sarangi and drum. So these are the different kinds of classical instruments. जो हमारा क्लासिकल म्यूजिक की जो जान है, ये तीन क्लासिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स वो यहाँ पे बेच रहे हैं. एंड सितार अगेन मार्क look at the spelling carefully. Ye spelling she used because she is using anglicized English. Okay. What do you chant? Oh ye magicians. अब magicians आ गए वहां पे. We all know that India के अंदर magicians and snake charmers ये बहुत ज्यादा मिलते हैं. हमारे legends में भी, हमारे myths में भी, हमारे folk tales में भी, हर जगह पे हमें magicians and snake charmers definitely मिलते हैं. तो यहाँ पर she is talking to the magicians कि तुम क्या chant कर रहे हो? What are you chanting? And the magicians reply, spells for the eons to come. So ऐसे chants, ऐसी blessings, ऐसे spells वो बोल रहे हैं that are going to have a lasting effect for eons to come. Eons means years. So बहुत सारे generation, one generation after another, they are going to experience the benefits of these spells. So they are blessing basically this area. वो spells ऐसे हैं that are going to be, their effect is going to last for years and years. Explanation. The poetess now asks the fruit sellers what fruits they are selling. They answer that they have a variety of fruits including citron, pomegranate and plum. Now, as the poetess asks the musician what instruments they are playing, they reply that they are playing on sitar, sarangi and drums. This part of the poem highlights India's love for music and informs the readers about the various important classical instruments used by the Indian musicians. So before guitar made its appearance in Bollywood, उससे पहले हम लोगों के पास हमेशा सितार, सारंगी, ये सारे हमारे classical instruments हैं, and we still have world-renowned players of these classical instruments, sitar and sarangi. बहुत सारे famous लोग हैं जो बजाते हैं ये instruments. Okay. Now, after the poetess goes to the magicians and asks them what they are chanting. Now she goes to the magicians. The magicians say that he is chanting the spells that will have an effect for centuries to come. Eons is centuries and centuries. So बहुत सारे time तक इनका effect रहेगा. इतने powerful spells वो chant कर रहे हैं, इतने powerful and effective spells जो हैं वो chant कर रहे हैं. So now again we see richness of classical music and instruments, richness of the food and the diversity in food, fruits that we see again, and we also see magicians के chants के through the power of people, जो the power of energies. कोई positive energy के साथ बात कर रहा है या मतलब this mythical whole idea or this discipline of magic, ये exercise करने के लिए भी लोगों को बहुत practice और talent की जरूरत होती है. And we have very nice magicians too in the bazaars of Hyderabad who are selling or chanting their spells. Clear? Stanza 5. What do ye weave, oh ye flower girls? Now she is talking to the flower girls कि तुम अब क्या, what are you weaving? क्या बना रही हो? Weave is वो knit कर रही है, वो जोड़ रही है. So I'm sure flowers, आपको पता है जब माला भी बनती है तो आपको weave करनी पड़ती है माला. You have to set the flowers properly. And here also the girls are doing something like this. Let's see what. With tassels of azure and red. Now, these girls are weaving flowers. Flowers ke through, what are they doing? They are making the tassels of azure and red. Azure, tassels basically is string. वो strings बना रही है of azure, which is blue and red. Blue flowers के और red colors के वो strings बना रही है. Then crowns for the brow of the bridegroom. Brow, eyebrow, basically for the forehead. So वो crown बना रही है जो कि यहाँ पर forehead पे रखे जाएगा किसके? Bridegroom के, दूल्हे के. Then chaplets to garland his bed. So chaplets are again a string of flowers और वो string, ये chaplets कहाँ use होंगे? To beautify or to decorate the bed of the groom. दूल्हे का bed को सजाने के लिए. Sheets of white blossoms and blossom new gathered to perfume the sleep of the dead. So अब what are they doing? एक जगह पे हमने देखा कि garlands बन रहे हैं, मालाएं बन रही हैं. एक जगह पे हमने देखा bride के लिए bridegroom के लिए दो तीन चीजें बन रही हैं, crowns बन रहे हैं और उस chaplets बन रहे हैं. And then we see किसी की death हो गई है, sleep of the dead को perfume करने के लिए, उनकी स्लीप को और अच्छा बनाने के लिए यहाँ पर शीट्स ऑफ व्हाइट फ्लावर्स बनाई जा रही हैं. व्हाइट ब्लॉसम्स न्यूली गैदर्ड, मतलब अभी अभी फ्रेश फ्लावर्स हैं, व्हाइट कलर के हैं, उनकी शीट बनाई जा रही है in order to give a respectable and comfortable farewell to the dead, to perfume the sleep of the dead. Can dead sleep? They are metaphorically in a deep sleep, right? So उनकी journey after death उसको और ज्यादा खुशबूदार बनाने के लिए, comfortable बनाने के लिए ये किया जा रहा है. So now we do see the importance of flowers in all the aspects of our life, religious, then festive, and then the death rituals. So flowers are important, they are everywhere, right? And these girls are making those flowers. So this, let's go through the explanation of this stanza. In the last stanza of the poem, the poet asks the flower girls what they are weaving with the azure, which is deep blue, like I told you, and red tassels, strands of flowers. Tassels is strands, the लड़ियां बनाना जिसे बोलते हैं, strands of flowers. The flower girls are making garlands for the bride and the groom and to adore their bed on the wedding night. जो फ्लावर डेकोरेशन होती है, जो आपने बहुत सारी शादियों में देखी होगी, एंड घर भी डेकोरेट किए जाते हैं with flowers. So this is going to decorate, these flowers are going to be used to decorate the bed of the bride and groom on their wedding night. They are also making sheets of newly brought white flowers for use on the dead man's grave for fragrance. किसी की ग्रेव के ऊपर भी फ्रेग्रेंस डालने के लिए वो फ्लावर्स रखे जाते हैं. एंड आई एम श्योर हम लोगों ने ये कई बार देखा है दैट व्हेनेवर पीपल विजिट द ग्रेव्स ऑफ देयर लव्ड वंस, दे ऑलवेज कैरी फ्लावर्स विद देम. सो एवरी टाइम दे हैव पुट फ्रेश फ्लावर्स देयर सो दैट द डेड, द लाइफ ऑफ द डेड आफ्टर डेथ वाला जो लाइफ है वो फ्रेग्रेंट रहे, राइट, फ्रेश रहे. These lines depict the two most important aspects of human life, joy and sorrow. एक लाइन में हमने देखा कि फेस्टिविटी है, हैप्पीनेस है, और दूसरी स्टैंस में हमने देखा कि सॉरो है, somebody has died, right? Now these are very important, two important aspects of anyone's life, be it Indians, be it anyone else not Indians, सबके लिए joy और sorrow equally रहता ही है लाइफ में. The act of the flower girls depicts the sensitivity and spirit of Indian culture. Mark this is very important. What is the act? What are these girls basically depicting? Their acts, sensitivity and spirit of Indian culture. The flowers are not only used during festivals and celebrations, but also to give respect as well as a beautiful farewell to the loved ones who have died. Clear? Naidu uses metaphor here when she compares the dead with sleep. यहाँ पर है ना, the sleep of the dead. यहाँ पर अब ये थोड़ी ना बोला कि the dead is sleeping या कुछ ऐसे. She did not use, she compared sleep with death or death with sleep, and without using like or as, and that is why it is a metaphor. Clear? Okay. Thus, Sarojini Naidu represents the myriad colors, myriad is many, myriad colors and practices of an Indian market to give us a sense of the rich Indian heritage. This poem was her protest against the European products and an appreciation of our goods. So with this we have come to the closing of the poem. This poem is over now and I hope कि आपको ये poem अच्छे से समझ आ गई है. If you still have any doubts, needless to say, write them down and we are going to discuss them in the Zoom sessions. Also, please watch this video again and again so that you remember कहाँ पे कौन सा figure of speech use हो रहा है and which stanza is telling us about what part of Indian culture or social life. So in totality, this poem is personally my favorite poem because काफी कुछ इंडिया के बारे में पता चलता है. Also काफी जो poetess का aim था to invoke a feeling of pride and love for your country, that she has successfully achieved here, this aim, right? And now अगर आपसे पूछा जाए कि इसकी theme या कोई message है, so theme तो we have discussed, but message of course is the same, that India is a land of richness, culture, diversity and prosperity. Self-sufficiency है इंडिया में. India doesn't need to be dependent on any other nation. India at that time never needed to be colonized, राइट एंड जो लोगों को वेस्टर्न कल्चर में जो लोगों को नहीं पता था कि इंडिया एक्चुअली में अनसिविलाइज्ड या फिर अंडर डेवलप्ड नहीं है, उनको लगता था कि वो है तभी कॉलोनाइजेशन की ज़रूरत है. सो दैट थिंग इज ऑल्सो हाईलाइटेड हियर. People are going to see India after reading this poem not as a land which needs to be taken care of, but as a land which is self-sufficient and which is very rich in cultural diversity. Multilingual है, multicultural है. So India के जो richness है, जो उनके जो valuable components हैं, उसको यहाँ पर she has shown very beautifully. So in that context, the poem becomes really important for the Indian readers as well as for the Westerners. Now, so that's all for this session. I will conclude this here, and I will meet you again next week with another chapter or poem from your syllabus. Till then, stay tuned to these links and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.